Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of Revell's Star Wars MIllennium Falcon, and it's the Master Series Limited Edition kit. Scale is 1:144. In the first part I introduced the kit, and in this part I'm going to be starting the build. So I'm going to start off with the cockpit and work my way out from there. So let's see how well I get on. As you can imagine, the cockpit's quite small for this scale, but to start with, the base coat is going to be Revell Aquacolor 378 Dark Grey, and this is going to be all over. The detailing I'll paint in once this is dry. So once it's dry, I'm moving on to the seats, and it's Revell Aquacolor 88 Ochre Brown for this. And this is just the back cushions and the leg cushions. The back seats are painted differently. It's 302 Silk Black for the back seats. But why these seats are a different colour, I'm not sure. I'll have to watch the movie again to see whether that's actually the case. But for now, I'm just following the instructions. I'm now using cocktail stick, and here I've got Revell Aquacolor 05 White. And I'm just putting little dots in here. I'm just introducing random colours. And the next colour is Revell Aquacolor 330 Fiery Red. And again, it's with the cocktail stick, just adding little dots. Next is Revell Aquacolor 50 Light Blue. Same process, again, adding the dots. And finishing up the sequences, Revell Aquacolor 61 Emerald Green. Now what these little dots are for are the little switches and dials throughout the back of the cockpit and some in the front. But to be honest with you don't really have to do this, because once the canopy is on, you really can't tell, because it is quite small. It's worth doing on a larger version, you know, but it'll be up to the builder if they want to do this. I'm now moving on to the canopy, and it's Tamiya's XS55 Deck Tan. Now this is actually going to be the main colour of the entire ship. But as you can see there, I'm freehanding like I always do when I'm painting canopies, but I shall go through it again if you're not familiar with this technique. People gently mask canopies and that to ensure a sharp line, and that's absolutely fine. I prefer to freehand just because it saves much time, and it's a bit old school since I'm old. But if you do make a mistake if you're trying this technique, all you have to do is take a cocktail stick and rub away the excess paint, and as long as you're using acrylic paint, it will come straight back off. Now you can do it when it's wet or dry. Don't wait a week or so, because it's more difficult to come off. It's better just to wait an hour or so to trim up any mistakes that you do. And you just take your cocktail stick, run it along the line or on the edge, and it takes away any little flecks of paint that may have gone over your painted line. It's time to put the cockpit into the bulkhead. There's just a little location points there that I'm pointing out. Now the instructions tell you to paint in this part. As you can see that I've already started, but I'm not going into it because I thought to myself, why am I painting this? Because you will not see it whatsoever. So I wouldn't bother if you're building this kit. Save your resources. And the outside, including the arm, is XF55 Deck Tan by Tamiya, and I'm just putting on a very thin layer of paint here, practically dry brushing it on, just to get a bit of coverage. Next is to place the canopy on, and it's a fairly simple process. It fits very well. Just needs a little bit of cement. You can either use a white glue or your normal cement. If you use the normal, as I keep on saying, make sure you leave it a minute or two so the fumes can evaporate, so it won't fog up your canopy. I did have to clamp this down with a couple of clamps, but nothing unusual. Next I'm painting in some of the detail work, and it's Revell Aquacolor 76 Light Grey, and these are only flashes of colour that is going to be throughout the ship, but while the arm's off, it's just a little bit easier to paint them in now. So as you can see, I'm painting the hull, and it's XF55 Deck Tan, and as you can see there, I'm painting this in very roughly. I'm not worried about uneven coats or if the paint goes offline. In fact, I'm counting on it. This is the sort of ship where painting mistakes doesn't matter. It won't stand out because it's all in keeping with the actual ship. So while that's drying, I'm just going to be assembling the cockpit to the arm. As you can see there, it goes on the lower half first. It was a little bit tricky to get it aligned, and even though the location points are there, it didn't want to quite meet up with the join. It took a lot of persuasion, but I did get there in the end. It doesn't need any filler, it's just a little bit fiddly. And then the top part goes on, and it was much the same. Once I lined up the location pins, I had to press them in quite firmly to get everything closed up. But with a little bit of patience, it does go in quite well. So now it's onto the deflector dish, and this is just a mount going onto the base, and the dish itself goes onto the bracket. It's a fairly easy setup, although it can be fiddly because of the size of it. But the two halves of the main bracket go together. Then the actual there's a little part that goes right in the middle here. This is quite a small part. I couldn't quite grab it with my tweezers, so I had to use my hands, hence why my hands are in the way. But you can maybe just about see the part going in there. And then next is the mount holding on, goes onto the dish, and there's 4 little location points for this to sit into. It fits perfectly, and tiny amount of glue, that's all that's needed. And as same goes for the actual mount base itself. 4 little location points, and it just pushes on, and that's it. There's no problems with it whatsoever. Now comes to the 2 guns. The guns, once again, are a simple assembly. 2 halves get clipped into the main mount, so that the bar of the mount is halfway up the gun cradle, and that way you can actually then move the guns up and down as a free movement. Now I glued mine in position because I wasn't really bothered about the free movement, but of course you can do it. There's enough room to do it, and enough room so that you don't get cement everywhere. I'm painting the tips of the gun barrels with Revell Aquacolor 06 tar black. Now, some photos have these gun tips painted, some photos don't. So I know when I done the Dastani one, I didn't paint the gun tips. So, but this one, I've decided to do so. The interior of the gun barrel, there's not much detail in here, so I'm just painting it all 302 Silk Black Revell Aquacolor. And once that's dry, I'm going to be adding the canopy. So I'm using white glue for this, and it's micro crystal clear that I'm using, so canopy glue. Only because there's no vent area here that is going to dissipate the fumes if we use normal cement. So this is one of these cases where a white glue is a must. So for the assembly, first of all, the canopy just gets popped in there. It was quite a tight fit. Be careful if you're doing this kit when you place this. It's got a tendency to sit up at one end, so you'll have a lip of the clear plastic. It does sit flush, but you have to make sure you apply pressure all the way around the rim to do so. Then it's a simple case of marrying the collar up with the main component. There's a little channel here that you can put your cement right around for the next part to sit into. Again, the location points are well defined on this. If you just marry them up, then everything just should push into place. And then to finish it off, the gun just goes into those 2 location points you see to complete this part of the assembly. What I have here assembled is one of the feet. So there's 5 of these to make up, no sorry 7. And they're all fairly standard. It's just these 3 parts. You have the main stem, the little circular part then goes in between, then the foot. Now the reason why I'm not going into too much detail here is because I'm not actually using these parts, but I just thought I would show you how they were assembled. And this is where I'll leave part 2. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds. If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my other builds as well, of course. Hit that like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.